oops. This one. Hi guys, Yuki here, back with Seduce Me Too. We are moving on to Erik's route. So basically, if you want to know what happened in the beginning, you just have to go watch the demo. The only difference here is that instead of going left, we go right, since with Damien we just went left, and this is left-right, which will lead us to Faye, and I felt it was only fair that we highlighted Faye in this one, since we didn't do that in the last one. So yeah, let's just get to it. I was heading left, so I decided to go in the opposite direction this time. I turned right and headed down the hall, greeted by more fantastical decor. The hall became longer and longer as I continued to walk. However, I suddenly stopped at the sound of a shout.
Beware my evil reign and bow to your new overlord!
What the? I turned towards the shout, where the shout was erupting from, and saw a door ajar. As I peeked into the room the door led into, I stared at what I had saw. A floating creature was standing over the top of the table that held a map and miniature pieces, as if someone had set up a strategy board game. The creature was planted on top of a red marker, as if the marker was their mount.
I will rule the entire world, and no one can stop me, because I am the Demon Lord!
As it switched to a different personality, the creature quickly jumped and floated over to a purple marker, striking an exaggeratedly sexy pose.
Oh no! I will stop you with my massive boobies and butt powers! I will rule this world, not you! And everyone will love me!
I watched as the creature bounced back and forth between pretending to be the Demon Lord and Diana, lost and intrigued as to how small and quickly they were.
Your boobies cannot scare me, for I have a penis, and penises ward off fear! You may have a penis, but I have an army that practically worships my overly curvy and ridiculously perfect body. Oh!
I stifled a laugh. That was actually rather amusing to watch, seeing the creature imitate the Demon Lord and then their own leader.
Then come here, and I will show you the true power of a Demon Lord. Soldiers, attack!
I stared as the creature suddenly formed multiple little miniature soldiers on opposite sides of the table, using magic to make them clash and smack against each other as if an invisible child was playing with them. There were even some small squeaky stuffed animals and glass figures smacking and crashing together. It was a chaotic little show. Oh man, I would totally pay to see that. That sounds so cute.
Oh no! We're being overrun! Do not hold back! We'll beat him!
I think that's supposed to be Sergeant.
The pain! Why? I see it! I see the light!
My poor ears. Let me just turn this a little bit. Yeah, right there. I couldn't stop the laughter from erupting from my stomach. I began to guffaw, amused by the little show I was witnessing. The creature, in surprise, poofed into a cloud of smoke before appearing and falling back over the side of the table in its regular size, or at least what I assumed to be their regular size. Whoa, I'm sorry, are you okay?
Yep, I'm okay.
The creature managed to hop up and started floating again behind the table, giving me a thumbs up as if nothing was wrong. Their clothes were a bit disheveled, but they gave me a toothy grin.
Hiya!
Hi, sorry for disturbing your,
Huh? Oh, my game! It's okay. I was just getting to the good part.
The good part? The creature nodded before leaning over the table and rearranging all the figurines that still remained on it.
Yeah, when Diana kills the Demon Lord and takes over the world!
Oh, the way that they put it made it seem like Diana was going to be an overlord. Was she really trying to take over the world? The creature looked at me and chuckled.
Oh, you don't know what's happening, huh? Well, we're all fighting the Demon Lord, and by we, I mean me and Diana and the others. But anyway, we're fighting the Demon Lord because he's a tyrant and we don't like tyrants, so we're gonna kill him and take over.
They made it seem so simple and so joyous. You guys are really gonna kill him and take over?
Huh? Duh! The Demon Lord is completely crazy! He's burnt down so many villages and destroyed so many forests! He's only causing us harm! That's why we have to stop him!
The creature then put the purple marker next to the red marker, glaring at both.
We have to kill him before he hurts anyone else!
With a flick of their wrist, they used the purple marker and knocked the red one over violently, making it skid across the table towards the edge. Just from their look on their face, they seemed peeved about the Demon Lord. I would be too. Hell, he already was. You will all win. Well, that was sure. I sound so sure of myself. The creature looked up at me before letting go of the marker and placing their hands behind their head with a grin.
You think so?
I nodded with a reassuring smile. They seemed confident enough to battle the Demon Lord, and if it was for the best, then it had to be done. The creature nodded back to me before yawning.
So, you're gonna marry a demon, huh?
What? I stared at them, unsure where the change in topic came from. The creature laughed a bit.
Don't tell me you forgot!
Oh no, it's not that, it's just... Where did this come from?
Well, you are heading home tonight. This is my only chance to ask why.
Why?
Yeah, why a demon? Why not another human? I mean, I'm not against demons and humans getting together or whatever, but I was just curious, you know? There are like billions of humans on your world. Why a demon?
I took a moment to think about the demon in question whom I was marrying. His face made me smile, and the thought of being able to be with him again made my heart warm up in excitement. His presence remained in my heart, and I knew my answer. Because I love him.
You love him?
Yes, I do. The creature stared at me as if I had 3 heads. Was what I said wrong? No, it couldn't have been because it was true. And yet the creature continued to stare at me oddly. What?
Huh? Oh, nothing. It's just weird.
What's weird?
Love. It's just weird, okay? But if it works for you, that works, I guess. It's not like I'm the one getting married.
I stared at the creature, unsure of what they meant. However, before I could question them, they yawned and stretched out.
Alright, I'ma steal some snacks. You should head back to your room or whatever so that Diana doesn't catch you snooping around. She doesn't like snooping. Or was it swooping?
The creature shrugged as I nodded. It was probably for the best that I returned to my room. I knew my way back, so I left the room and returned to my room. And then there's the soup. Just eat it? I gulped. I had to try it. I had to eat it. I hadn't eaten in 2 days, even before I came to the demon world. Why would you stop yourself? I was pretty certain Diana wouldn't poison me now, and I was fairly sure that she wouldn't serve me something disgusting. I lifted the spoon that was sitting on the broth, letting it capture some of the stew as it rose. I mean, it wasn't terribly scary to look at. I gulped and slowly brought the spoon to my lips, feeling the heat emanate from the stew. A knock rapped on my door, breaking me out of my train of thought. Huh? Come in. The door opened to reveal Diana with a plate holding things I recognized. Bread and cheese. I let out a heavy sigh of relief before Diana laughed.
I suggest not trying that. As good as it smells, the taste would not sit well with you.
Well, I already ate it, so there's no looking back now. Instantly, I moved the bowl to the nearby table, thankful that I did not have to try it, even though I already did. Diana handed me the plate and nodded, reassuring me that what was on it was indeed what it seemed.
It's not much, but it's human food. Eat up.
And then we fast forward, because this is all the same. She held me tightly as the light invaded the space and slowly began to fade. As the light finally died, everyone moved their hands to see what had happened. There was a white tear, and then the guys came out.
Ready!
Falling from the tear was the boys.
What the hell?
Who are they?
Careful!
I stared at the one I was meant to marry, seeing him slowly shake his head and rise from the ground. They came to rescue me, he came to rescue me, and all that stuff. The question was how. At the sight of the boys kept the demon's attention, a second tear opened above them, causing everyone to look up. 4 women dropped down from the tear and somehow managed to fall into the arms of the incubi behind Erik.
Whoa!
I gotcha!
Whoa! Are you okay?
I gotcha! It's okay!
James?
Whoa! Are you alright?
I stared wide-eyed. Their wives came too? I watched as the boys and the girls finally planted themselves in the ground before looking around. As Erik spotted me, however, he began to rush towards me.
Princess!
I wanted to rush back to him. I wanted to run over and wrap my arms around his neck. I missed the touch of his lips, his embrace. Yet my body would not allow me to move forward. In fact, I shied away and hid behind Diana, gripping her waist and averting my gaze from him.
What the?
That's so weird.
Still?
I shut my eyes despite my heart screaming at me to turn towards Erik. I knew that he would enthrall me to break this hold on me, so I wanted to look at him and let him. However, my body continued to duck behind Diana's body, avoiding Erik's gaze. As I heard Erik step forward, Diana wrapped an arm back around her and placed it on my back. For some reason, I felt comforted by her touch. Was she casting a spell on me?
Diana, if you please.
Not until you explain what is going on. Why does she hide from you?
I assure you, it's not what you think.
I will not repeat my question.
I felt Diana's hand clench over my back. I felt unnatural elation wash over me at the protection she was providing me, but my heart cried out for Erik.
She does want to see Erik. Something's stopping her from doing that.
And I'm supposed to believe this.
Please, just let me.
I watched from behind Diana as her guard quickly stepped forward and placed himself between Diana and Erik, spear pointing at my incubus.
I suggest not taking another step forward.
Wait!
The rabbit-eared woman, in the midst of the tension, quickly rushed over to me and bent down to look directly in the eyes. I looked at her, trying to convey my need to see Erik through my eyes.
Hold still, okay?
What are you?
Ostende mihi kotum.
Staring into the woman's eyes, I watched as a warm glow hue painted over her sweetly pale blue eyes before she closed them. As if something had been unlocked, a large click resonated through my mind. All at once, I felt my will take control and I stood up straight, now finally able to do what I desired without any resistance.
Love.
Erik! I quickly ran around Diana and rushed towards Erik, wrapping my arms around his neck and feeling him envelop me in his own arms. His warm embrace made my heart squeeze in my chest, and I felt him close to me. I smiled as Erik kissed over my cheeks, his embrace conveying how beyond happy he was to have me back, willingly in his arms. I don't want to mess this up. I get the feeling that whatever we encountered back in the human world has somehow affected us. I'm gonna say it's the ghost or spirit of a child from the demon world. And I don't know why, it just doesn't want me to. Like, be near Erik, but now that Rabbit has made it possible to do that, I guess I don't know what to do. I guess kiss him. I tightened my arms around Erik and tilted my head to kiss him. My heart fluttered at the touch and taste of his lips against mine. He eagerly kissed me back, tightening his hold on me lovingly. Diana turned to the rabbit-eared woman with a look of pure confusion on her face.
What? Just...
She's under some sort of secondary spell. Repulsion, it seems. What I cast on her was an emotional release spell, and that temporarily removed the hold on her.
But she's been here a full day, and none of us felt any sort of hold on her.
Well, we didn't exactly figure out that she was cursed either.
Cursed?
I felt Erik's hold on me tighten as I looked up at his face. He looked to Diana with an expression full of concern and confusion. As I heard Diana sigh, I turned slightly to watch her cross her arms.
Yes. She's been cursed by the Demon Lord. She cannot leave until she dies or until we kill him.
The incubi looked at each other in surprise, but Erik kept his eyes to Diana and kept me tight in his embrace.
I'm assuming you plan to kill the Demon Lord, right? When will this happen?
Yes, in 1 week's time.
1 week?!
Where is this number coming from, Succubus?
We need to fully prepare ourselves for the final stage, which I'm certain will only take a couple of days. We've pinned him into a corner. The Demon Lord will fall.
That's rather bold to assume.
She's right, though. We can prepare everything in that time frame, right?
And if he does the same and attacks us before then?
He won't.
I watched as Diana walked over and cleared the table of the materials they had gathered for the gate spell, revealing a physical map of the abyssal plains. She pointed to a spot on this map, a peninsula surrounded by water labeled as the Decaying Sea.
We'll cast a barrier spell along the edge of the peninsula and around the castle. He and his army won't be able to move from that spot until we break it ourselves, which will be during the siege.
Where would we get the energy needed for that kind of spell?
We won't be using energy.
The other rebel demons in the room suddenly tensed up, staring at Diana in surprise. What was she going to do?
My lady, you're not suggesting...
The Demon Lord has shown how far he is willing to go to win this war. It's only fitting to show the extent we'll go to in response.
As much as I agree with you, this seems a little rash.
What are you guys talking about?
Are they allowed to know?
I plan to put a barrier curse around the Demon Lord's castle and army. It's temporary, so it won't need the blood of 1,000 demons. But it will need the sacrifice of at least one demon life.
And I assume you'll be sacrificing one of my soldiers.
Is this our only option?
There are other options, but they will most likely take a lot of energy to pull off.
It just depends on what we want to do. If we want to do this immediately, then the barrier curse is indeed the best option.
I'm not opposed to performing the curse. As rash as it is, it will make our lives easier in the long run.
You expect me to hand over one of my men? My soldiers joined the rebellion to kill the Demon Lord, not to get their throats slit before even seeing the final battle?
It's wrong, but can we really afford to spend any more energy? Diana already spent a lot trying to send the human back.
What is the other option?
The rabbit woman and the fairy moved towards the map and pointed to the peninsula.
We could form tall rock walls around the castle. box him in.
It will take a lot of our energy, but we can recover in that week period.
And what will stop the Demon Lord from tearing down the walls?
I can imbue the walls with holy magic.
The Incubi and I looked at him, all of us equally surprised. A demon with holy magic? How?
How the fuck did you get holy magic? You look and smell like a demon.
The guard held up his wrapped hand, letting the beads around it jangle in the sudden motion.
I've had the ability to use holy magic ever since I was taken in by my lady's family. There's no doubt that I am a demon, but I can't recall how I gained this ability.
How is holy magic different than demon magic?
It's white magic. Unlike demon magic, holy magic isn't so finicky. Think of it as warding or dispelling magic. You can't bless air or anything that doesn't have physical form, but you can bless objects to fight back against other forms of magic.
If the walls were blessed with holy magic, the Demon Lord wouldn't be able to escape until we released him.
Why not just trap him forever?
That's idiotic. He would still be a threat regardless. Holy magic doesn't last forever. And stone will crumble eventually.
He's right. We wouldn't be able to keep the walls up forever.
The situation became more and more complicated the more we discussed it. How are we going to go about this?
We can't just sit around and debate this forever. The longer we wait, the more we risk him striking back at us.
But is it worth killing someone to trap him?
When we finally strike, we will lose hundreds, if not thousands, of soldiers anyway. What difference will it make to lose one more life on top of this?
Soulless fuck.
We can still cage him in.
I bit my lip. It was really a tough decision. A curse or a trap? Which was better? Both had their prices, but we had to choose one. From the look of it, no one wanted to speak up, so I felt the urge to say something. Maybe I would be the one who determined everything. But which method would be the best choice? I'm standing by my thing about it always being trapped. Sorry, I will not expend a life. Everyone in the room looked at me as I finally spoke up. We needed to be better than the Demon Lord. He was willing to sacrifice lives to trap me here, but it only showed how desperate he was to win and how little he valued life. He would lose this war one way or another. It wasn't worth losing someone who could help turn the tide of war. When can you put up a barrier?
We can leave after this, meeting is over.
Are you sure this is the best choice?
The curse isn't the only option. We need to show that we're better than him. Everyone nodded, and some in reluctance, while others did with confidence. I looked at Diana just in time to catch a twitch from her visible eye, but she shook her head and looked to the rabbit woman.
Are you quite positive this will work?
I am very certain. Since it will be just 3 of us going, we can shadow travel there and be back by the morning.
Diana nodded, and yeah.
Very well. If you believe it will work, then I trust you will make sure it does.
As the guard nodded and slightly bowed, the other demons seemed to let a sigh of relief. Were they worried about performing the curse? Diana shook her head before crossing her arms and looked directly at me.
So, since you'll be here for a while, we might as well give you names that you can use to refer to everyone here.
Are we getting human names?
Must we?
Diana rolled her eyes and gestured to each demon, naming them on the fly.
For the sake of time, we'll use simple names. This is Rabbit, our magic advisor, Sergeant, commander of our armies, Shadow, leader of our assassins, and Faye, our nomadic force ambassador.
Sergeant, I'm a commander, succubus. Shouldn't my name be Commander?
It's easier on the tongue, though, to say Sergeant.
My lady, what shall they call me?
Diana looked at Sarah for a moment before turning towards me, a look of seriousness emanating from her eyes.
You may call him Zero. He is my personal guard, and he is always by my side.
The other demons and Sarah seemed to be surprised. Was Sarah his true demon name? What would she give me his true name?
Are you sure?
Call him only if your life depends on it. Do not abuse this permission.
Her eyes seemed to burn as she gazed into mine, full of hard intent and warning. I mentally noted her seriousness as she ran a hand through her hair.
Well, now that we have a plan and introductions are out of the way, I believe we can end this meeting. We have a lot to accomplish in 1 week.
What about us? You don't expect us to sit around.
Actually, I do. You all don't belong on the battlefield.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Huh?
I will not take untrained and unarmed beings into a war zone.
Hold on. I interjected before stepping forward and crossing my arms at Diana. She seriously wasn't going to make us stay back while she fought the Demon Lord, was she? We can fight too. Diana squinted at me, pressing her lips together in a fine line. However, I meant what I said. We could fight too.
You expect me to trust that you can fight in a war?
Let me and my brothers train then. We're demons, for fuck's sake. We know how to fight.
The boy stared at Diana as she turned her head towards Sam. I'll be back. Where was I? The boy stared at Diana as she turned her head towards Sam. He was right, though. They knew how to train so that they could fight. If they fought with the rebellion, there would be a better chance of winning this war.
You all realize this is a war, correct? You can die here.
We understand completely.
We understand, Diana.
Diana could only stare at our group as we challenged her proclamation. I wrapped my hand around my fiancé's arms, frightened the idea of participating in the war, but knowing that we needed all the strength we could muster to finish off the Demon Lord. This was the only way that I could go home. Defeated, Diana sighed and rubbed her temples.
Very well. I can't exactly keep you here like prisoners, so it will be up to you if you choose to train for battle. However, I highly suggest just staying here and allowing us to handle it.
I nodded as did the others. This was really happening. We were going to kill the Demon Lord, and we had 1 week to either prepare for it or wait it out. Diana turned towards me and looked down at my outfit. I had nearly forgotten that I was still in my wedding dress until Diana pointed at my chest.
Lumen infere, bellum tabescere, serene.
I stared at her, unsure of why she was speaking in Latin until I felt the fabric around my body shift and change. I quickly looked down to see my wedding dress morph into an outfit that looked perfect for the demon world. The white top shifted into a long-sleeved, oversized tunic with a leather corset and vest, while the bottom part of the gown split and wrapped around my legs, forming into dark leggings. My shoes stretched into long knee-high boots.
Wow. Very nice outfit.
I blushed, getting used to the feel of the new outfit. The corset wasn't tight, but it was still something new along with the rest of the garb. Erik, however, smiled down at me and kissed over my forehead.
You look wonderful, princess.
Thank you.
Faye, Rabbit, you both should finish your preparations and head over to the Demon Lord's castle for the spell.
How are you going to get there?
I'll get us there, no problem. Just make sure we don't get stuck there or lost. No promises.
Zero, make sure the job is done.
I shall, my lady.
Sarah, Faye, and Rabbit began to make their way out of the room as Diana turned to me and my group. As they left, Diana let out a small sigh.
I will take you to some rooms you may rest in.
Thank you, Diana. Diana merely nodded and led our group out of the room towards her new temporary rooms. I felt insanely nervous. This entire situation was beyond my imagination. Stuck in the demon world under 2 kinds of enchantments? This was unreal even for me. Still, we were going to work towards finishing this war and getting me home. We had to do everything we can to keep our focus straight. As Erik and I were escorted to our room, I felt the need to cling to Erik's arm. It had been only a day since I had been taken away from the human world, but for the longest time I had to be enthralled to get close to him. Now I was freely and willingly able to hold on to Erik's arm. Hug Erik's arm tightly. I couldn't help it. I needed to feel closer to him after all this time. Being separated was not something any bride wanted from their soon-to-be partner. I wrapped my arms around Erik's arm, hearing him chuckle to lay his free hand over my arms lovingly.
You know, I wanted to walk down the aisle with you as your husband. I was so worried when you didn't show up to the ceremony.
My heart sank as I looked down. I hadn't wanted to leave him at the altar, but the Demon Lord had other plans. I gritted my teeth before feeling Erik's lips on my temple, causing me to look back up at him.
I know it wasn't your doing, love. Don't be upset. You weren't gone long.
Not gone long. I had been at the abyssal plains for a full day. How was that not long? How long was I missing for? Erik rubbed his neck and looked away, a small blush forming on his cheeks.
Around 5 hours.
5 hours? I was here a full day. How does that work?
Well, time runs differently here than it does in the human world. In the time it takes for an hour to go by in the human world, 5 go by here in the demon world.
Oh. My mind spun slightly at the idea. Time moved differently here? I shook my head and let it go. At least I wasn't gone for long in the human world. What happened when you found out that I was missing?
Well, your father was demanding that Sam open a missing persons investigation since he's a police officer. Luckily, James was able to calm everyone down, and with Irides's energy, he blocked everyone's memory and told them to return home and the real wedding would begin later.
Oh, this is new. At least we know Dad cares. James can do that?
Only with his wife's help. That gave us time to try to locate you. When we did, we all decided to come through to get you back.
I could only imagine what it had been like, all of them huddled in a room trying to find me. I felt a little flattered, but I knew that this was because they all cared about me, the wives included. I was happy that they did, and that I was back with Erik at last. Our walk continued until I entered my old room with Erik. Our guide left us alone, needing to prep for the— Oops. I messed that. It was a major relief for my mind to know that everything was going to be taken care of. It was an even larger relief to know that I would be with the man I loved in the meantime. I laid my head on Erik's shoulder as he wrapped an arm around me.
Are you really okay?
I nodded. The only thing that was wrong with me was being trapped, but there was nothing I could do until we got to the Demon Lord. Erik seemed to know this as well and kissed over my head.
Well, at least you were no longer disgusted by me.
Erik. I was never disgusted by you. The feeling of love ran through my body as I settled into the situation. I could finally hold him and love him as I meant to instead of being cruel. It was a blessing. Erik nodded once again before hugging me softly to him, laying us back across the bed. I wrapped my arms unconsciously around him and listened to the rhythm of his breathing. It was slow, relaxed, which made me in turn feel at peace.
We'll get to go home soon.
I know. I closed my eyes, letting our embrace slowly entice me to sleep. It didn't bother me that I was dressed with my boots still on. It was such a peaceful transition I could barely felt the shift between being awake and being asleep. I held Erik close to me, listening to his heartbeat. The simple syncopation of it filled my own heart with such joy, and I could not deny the smile on my face from stretching further. Whatever held me for so long no longer had hold on my mind and my body, allowing my heart to once again guide my actions. As I slept, however, a voice I had not heard in a while reappeared.
Why? Why did you do that?
Huh? Within the darkness of my dreams appeared a familiar purple orb floating in the vast space. I felt once again charmed by it, but I was more confused as to why it was in my dream and why it had asked me such a question. You.
Why would you do that?
Do what? What are you doing here?
I don't understand.
What are you doing here? I had to repeat myself. The orb didn't move or change, but something about looking at it made me feel unsure. Why was the spirit haunting me?
I don't understand why you like him.
Why I like Erik? Wait, was this spirit the reason why I was aggressive to Erik? I glared at the orb, suddenly putting two and two together. You were the one that made me act so cruel towards him?
He's icky! He's an icky man!
He's the man I love. I loved him dearly, and I didn't want to treat him like I did. If I was being forced, then I needed to stop the one who was forcing me.
Loving a person doesn't make them less icky.
What is so icky about him?
He talks funny! He keeps touching you!
He has those.
Sex eyes?
Yeah! He's so icky! Icky!
I'm not as disgusting as you make me out to be, Spirit.
Oh yeah, I forgot Erik could... Yeah, dreams. My heart jumped at the sound of Erik's voice. In front of me appeared a reddish shadow which quickly formed itself into Erik. The orb seemed to pulsate at the sight of him.
Icky man!
My name is Erik, and you are not welcome in my princess's dreams or her body.
You're not either!
Erik! Erik looked back to me and smiled before stepping forward, making the orb back away a bit. I couldn't tell if it was in fear or anger, but the pulsing energy around the orb seemed to become larger at Erik's stare.
My duty is to protect my princess from anything that threatens her. You, rogue spirit, are considered a threat.
All you do is touch her and take her energy.
That's not true.
What else does the icky man do?
I opened my mouth to retort back, but suddenly froze, feeling my thoughts escape me. For some reason, I couldn't remember anything else Erik had done except for what the spirit said. He would kiss me, hold me, and take my energy. This was wrong. Something was definitely wrong. Why couldn't I pin down more things Erik did for me? I held my head and shut my eyes, trying to focus harder on my thoughts. Erik, however, stepped towards the orb, a group of ethereal tendrils emerging from his back.
That's enough. You don't belong here, spirit.
I expected the spirit to fight back, but it didn't say anything more. After a moment of silence, the spirit faded into the darkness of the dream. Erik and I both let out a small sigh of relief.
Are you okay?
Yes, I am. I'm better now. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Okay. I'm better now. Erik nodded before wrapping his arms around me.
I swear that I will keep you safe.
The words Erik spoke resounded in my chest, making me feel light and believe every word that escaped his lips. I felt safe enough to just hear his determination. Still, I couldn't help but feel a small restlessness in my body despite being in a dream. I thought that sleeping would help my anxiousness at the situation I was in, but it only made me more worried. With this new fear in my mind, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to hold out until we defeated the Demon Lord. A spirit was really actually haunting my thoughts. This was insane to say the least. Still, the body was quelled for now. The spirit was quelled for now, at least until we found a way to expel it from my body. I woke that morning before Erik, physically refreshed but mentally troubled. The event that ran through my dreams both bewildered me and scared me. How long was the spirit going to be stuck to me? A knock at my door interrupted my thoughts and woke Erik.
Who's there?
It's us. We brought food.
Can we come in?
Oh, it's Matthew and Norin. Huh? Sure. Oh wait, that's Iridessa and that's James. Okay, the thought of food made me relax a bit and forget about the circumstances I was under. The door opened to reveal the other incubi and their wives, holding plates of food. James and Iridessa, however, each carried 2 full plates, passing one to me and Erik.
Oh, thank you, James.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
You'll never guess who prepared it, though.
Matthew? My mind instantly went to Matthew or James. They were usually the ones who made food when they lived in my house. Still, it could have been Damien as well. But then my mind cycled to the rebel leaders and Diana. We were in their castle as their guests, so it would make sense if they made us the food. Looking down at my plate, I noted the selection of food. Fruit slices, bread, cheese, and some sort of meat jerky. It seemed native to the demon world, but it was indeed human world food. Using the process of elimination, I decided it was probably Diana.
How did you both sleep? Our rooms are on the opposite end of the hall, so we didn't know how you two were doing.
Did you two get to catch up?
No, but yes.
Please, Matthew. They obviously did more than catch up. A bit of Twilight Tango? Sensual salsa? I bet he dipped right in.
Wow.
Well...
Erik and I looked at each other, ignoring Noran's innuendo as we thought of the seriousness of the situation. Did he want to tell them what was going on? Yes, everybody needs to know. Explain everything. I didn't want Erik to be the one to explain. The spirit was in my body and it was my problem. I motioned for Erik to eat before turning to the group and starting my explanation. Well, there's something we found out last night. I haven't been in control of myself because of something.
What did you find out?
Wait, you're not saying that...
Hey, are you pregnant?
Oh my god. Erik choked. I quickly turned my head to see Erik covering his mouth and coughing almost violently, most likely trying not to suffocate on the food in his mouth. He quickly swallowed his food and smiled painfully at the group.
No. She is not pregnant.
Erik was right. This was a whole different matter. For a second, I wondered what Erik thought about the question, but more importantly, we needed to let the group know what was going on.
Is having a child that bad?
Oh man, don't make me sympathize with you, Spirit! The room around me seemed to freeze as the Spirit's voice appeared in the air. I looked around and noticed that everyone, including Erik, was still. What?
The icky man doesn't think so.
What do you mean? In the middle of the room, the Spirit appeared, making me gasp. It floated over to Erik and spun around his head, making him light up slightly.
Well, if she were pregnant, I'd be able to expand my legacy.
Erik? Was that really what he was thinking? He wanted children to expand. No, this was a trick. I glared at the orb as it finally moved back to the center of the room. You're lying to me. Whatever you're trying to do won't work.
I'm not doing anything. Just look at him.
I did, wanting to prove the Spirit wrong. However, my eyes couldn't lie to me. He had a nervous, almost pondering smile on his face, as if he was keeping quiet about his thoughts. Were the thoughts I heard really Erik's?
He's an icky man.
Would you stop saying that?
It's true. He wants to make babies with you. You heard so yourself.
He didn't say that. But in a way, he did. Expand his legacy? Who says that? Then again, the look on his face couldn't lie to me. The more I gazed into his eyes, the more I could see a form of disappointment. Was I overthinking it?
He keeps touching you and trying to make you feel good. He wants to make you have his babies.
Stop it. I didn't want to hear it. This was something I had to figure out on myself. If this Spirit was telling the truth, which I doubted, then I would deal with Erik when the time came. However, the primary problem was that the Spirit was still inside of my body. I looked at the floating orb, seeing it bob up and down in place. So how long do you plan on sticking around?
Sticking around?
How long do you plan on being in my body?
Oh, I don't know.
It didn't know. I wanted to stand up, but I felt my body stay in its place. I guess in whatever phase the Spirit had me in, I could only shift my head, but not move from my spot. That only proved that this was in my head. You don't know?
I don't know.
How do you not know?
I just
Don't! I tried, but I can't get out.
This was proving to be useless. As childlike and innocent sounding this parrot was, this conversation was obviously going to nowhere. I sighed and lowered my head, closing my eyes.
I was trapped when I died too, you know?
Oh man. Oh man. Huh? I looked at the spirit, suddenly curious. They were trapped when they died? As the world began to move again around me, the orb vanished without a trace.
We have a different issue. My princess is being haunted by a spirit.
A spirit? But I can't hear its thoughts.
You can't catch everything, Damien.
That doesn't make sense. If a spirit's inside of her body, we would have sensed it.
That's the odd part. There's someone within her, but they are not powerful enough to be pinned down. It's as if...
It's a child.
Hmm? Yes, how did you know?
Spirits of children are extremely versatile, miss. They are smaller and less noticeable than a regular spirit, but their emotions run just as high, if not higher, making them more powerful.
So a child made you fight Erik?
Yes, it also called Erik, the icky man.
Well, you were for a long time, dude. You can't deny that.
Wow.
That was before I met my princess.
I looked to Erik as he looked back to me. His eyes were full of love and appreciation as he smiled down at me. He making a small blush run across my cheeks. Erik gently lifted his hands and caressed my cheek, making my face warm up at his touch.
You changed me for the better and turned me into a proper man. I would never wish for you to feel that I am disgusting.
Erik. Kiss his cheek. Erik was so sweet to think of me. I loved him for everything that he was and is. He was occasionally perverted and seductive now and then, but that was part of the charm I fell for. He was still my Erik. As I kissed his cheek, Erik gasped and I could feel a quick, warming warmth appear on his cheek under my lips. I pulled away and noticed the red tint across his face, but a loving smile still plastered on his expression.
Should we leave? They look like they're ready to make those babies now. Ow!
Wow.
Knock it off, Matthew.
Before anyone could laugh, however, another knock appeared at the door. Who is it?
Diana, dear. May I come in?
Sure, come in. As Diana entered the room, became silent. Her guard, Sarah, followed behind Diana and stepped into the room as well, closing the door for her, remained at the door as Diana looked at my plate.
Did you not enjoy breakfast? I can make you something else if you'd like.
Uh-huh. I quickly looked down at my plate, realizing that I had barely touched the food. I shook my head and looked up at Diana. No, this is great. We were just talking.
I see.
Thank you for breakfast, by the way.
My pleasure. I'm sorry that it's not much, but it's something to fill the stomach.
It's all good. It's better than that stew that everyone else was eating.
We had stew?
Trust me, don't worry about it. You're not missing much.
Indeed. Anyways, I came by to ask you something, dear.
Ask me what?
What exactly is going on? What was controlling you last night when your husband came around?
But we're not married yet. Right, Diana still didn't know what happened. Oh, well, we were just talking about that. As I stared at Diana, I felt something inside me grow very happy. Why wouldn't I be? She was feeding us and making sure we were at least comfortable. Hell, she was going to break the curse on me and kill the demon lord. At least I hope she would. So that child isn't printing on, Diana. Still, something felt odd about the way I felt. I shook my head and looked to Erik. He nodded and looked to Diana, causing her attention to turn to him.
A rogue spirit has taken refuge in her body.
A spirit?
How? We felt no such.
It's a child, Diana.
A mere child? What kind of child has that much anger and sadness that they can control the human body?
My lady, if I may.
Everyone in the room, myself included, looked to Sarah, who had stepped forward by Diana's side. Diana took a moment to watch Sarah, measuring his intentions before nodding and stepping back. With a nod, Sarah turned away from her and looked to me. Sarah stepped once more in my direction before bringing his spear up and pointing it at me. I'm gonna get impaled. What? Wait, no, that came out wrong. No. Oh god. Whoa.
What are you doing?
Without answering, Sarah continued to stare at me intensely. The spear in his hand began to glow a bright gold and white color, making me that much more concerned.
Sanctus et Husexiamentes!
Before anyone could jump at Sarah, the guard leaned forward merely an inch towards me, pressing the spear closely to my body. Oh gosh. However, it was stopped by a bright white magic barrier that suddenly formed around my body and the sound of a child screaming. The cry rang violently in my head, causing me to grip my head in pain. Oh my
Princess!
Erik reached for me but found himself pressing against the shield as well, unable to get close to me. The sharp tip of Sarah's spear pressed against the barrier, causing white ripples to wave from it. Sarah pushed the spear harder, trying to pierce through. The screaming, however, intensified in my head with each push.
What in the seven hells? I've never seen magic like that before.
I can hear it. The spirit is crying inside her head. It's hurting her.
Damn it!
Sarah finally pulled back and stepped away from me. The glow around his spear vanished, and Sarah looked to Diana. Scream in my head stopped at last, and the barrier finally vanished, allowing Erik to wrap his arms around me and pull me closer to him.
This spirit is extremely powerful, my lady. Powerful enough to block holy magic.
That's impossible.
I quivered in Erik's embrace, feeling the after effects of this sudden event hit my body like a wave. My nerves are vibrating and every hair in my body was on edge. My eyes, despite this, looked to Diana and Sarah. Diana looked at me and suddenly glared.
Clever spirit.
Clever spirit? What do you mean?
Look at who the spirit is haunting. She's practically bleeding endless waves of energy. The spirit must be consuming it to survive and use its abilities.
The entire room looked to me and I could see it in their eyes that she was right. Was I really that full of energy? What kind of energy? How did the amount of energy I have affect this?
The spirit is a demon, then?
Only a demon could make a barrier like that.
But a barrier against holy magic?
It's unheard of.
Not necessarily. If a demon is powerful enough, they can block holy magic, but it takes a large amount of energy.
We have to find another way to expel it. If holy magic won't work, something else will. Spirits can't bind themselves to living bodies forever.
The power of love?
Yeah. We'll get this spirit out one way or another.
Would we? This spirit was powerful enough to fight back against holy magic, which apparently was powerful on its own. I became nervous once again. Erik, feeling me tense up in his arms, gave my body a small squeeze in comfort. I closed my eyes, feeling his warmth slowly but surely calming me down.
Whatever the case may be, I'm sure we've at least weakened it. It shouldn't attempt to control you again, at least for today.
Thank you. Diana ran a hand through her hair and looked around the room, pressing her lips into a fine line.
So, about all of you participating in the war, you all obviously need to train.
Everyone nodded in agreement to Diana's statement. While we weren't a battle ready, we still need to at least know how to defend ourselves. Diana, however, looked to me.
You, most of all.
Huh? Me? I was suddenly confused. How come I was the odd one out and this had, yeah, we get this part.
Apparently, there are guidelines to breaking this curse. Not only do we have to kill the Demon Lord, but you have to be nearby when it happens for the curse to even break.
That makes no sense. Where did you learn this?
Shadow. He spent the night trying to find alternative ways to break your curse. Unfortunately, we didn't find anything of the sort, but we found the guidelines to breaking it.
It still makes no sense.
Even while it doesn't, it's still better to be safe than sorry. I don't want to kill him and then still have you stuck here because of an error.
I could only sigh and take it in, so I had to be there when the Demon Lord fell. Great. Diana waved her hand dismissively through the air, breaking my potential thoughts.
Anyway, we can't have you dying on the way there, and we can't monitor you when we're in battle. You should at least know how to defend yourself. That's why we've come up with a solution.
Huh? What solution?
Simple. The other rebel leaders and Sarah have agreed that if you'd like a trainer to enhance your abilities, you can train with one of them.
Okay. I stared, seeing Sarah step forward with a nod.
Each of the leaders is proficient in a different area of magic and battle strategy, good enough for self-defense. I can't speak for the others, but I can assure you that with Sarah's skill and training methods, you will be well prepared by the time the siege arrives.
Sarah nodded and bowed to me slightly. While I was flattered at the idea, did I really need a trainer? I knew Taekwondo, and I at least knew how to defend myself, demon or not. Then again, we were in the demon world where magic was the norm. What will the others teach me? Yeah,
Sergeant is a brute demon, bred from a nomadic tribe. He most likely teach you the ways of the brute demon, using your fists and speed to keep you alive. Shadow is, by definition, a shadow demon, so he'd probably teach you about dark magic, light manipulation, and assassination.
Yeah, even though he basically, I guess, kicked me off of his group because I was being too nosy last time. I do want to explore that part eventually. Just maybe go back and just train with the other characters that I didn't get a chance to before.
Rabbit is a wild magic-based animal demon, using her animal-focused energy as her weapon. She'd probably teach you how to do the same. Fae? I am honestly not sure. I know they can change their size and use elemental magic as well, but to be honest, I do not know what they would teach you.
I choose Faye. Dana raised an eyebrow but nodded. Faye was a wild card, so who knew what they would teach me? Still, my curiosity was getting the better of me and I knew it. I'd try it, yeah. With that, Dinah turned on her heel and left the room.
Finish eating. Afterwards, you should start training.
Everyone in the room nodded their affirmation as Diana and Sarah left.
Well, it looks like we'll be busy for the next couple of days.
This'll be fun.
Man, training's gonna suck.
It'll be worth it, though.
Damien's right.
As we all finished eating, everyone left to either train or do things on their own. I left to start my own work, determined to be prepared for what was to come. The Demon Lord wasn't going to win. I wouldn't let him. And I think I'm going to leave it here for today. Probably got in like, probably an hour. I feel like that's what it was. So yeah, spirit child in us. Demon child. Gotta work on that. And try not to, I guess, not to fail, because what I've read, this is a pretty tricky path, and it's easy to get the bad end, and I do not want the bad end. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!